The most important thing that you need to know when learning boxing is the amount of repetitions it actually takes to get good is crazy. As you'd imagine, it's the same with anything in life. If you want to be really, really high level at whatever that skill is, you've got to do a lot of reps to actually get good at it. But I just wanted to come on and emphasize how many reps that actually is, right? Most people massively underestimate the amount of reps it takes to get really good at boxing. You think that, well, yeah, I'll just practice the right hand or practice the jab or practice the left hook a few times, and before you know it, I'll be throwing it and sparring. It does not work like that at all. You need to practice it to the point where you're sick of practicing it, where you're throwing the jab non-stop on a bag for like an hour or two. So you're just getting used to that same movement. I'm going to give an analogy which I heard, which explains what's actually going on in your brain when you're doing this. So if you're doing repetitions of a specific skill, let's say it's throwing a jab, all right, your neural pathways are kind of like electrical wires. You know how they have the casing around the electrical wires to stop any of the energy escaping or minimizing how much energy escapes from the wire? That's kind of what you're building. You're building up the casing around that neural pathway, all right? The stronger that casing is, the less information can escape. The less information that escapes, the better or more likely your jab is to land. Another analogy which I find super useful is, imagine you're going through a thick, dense forest, going through there the first time. You're gonna have to take a machete or something and cut your way through, and you might go the wrong way and you might fuck it all up. All right, it's the same as throwing the jab. When you're throwing the jab at first, you're probably gonna tense your shoulder, you're gonna use a bunch of muscle, you're gonna throw it from here where you're using all your arm muscles to extend like you're doing a bench press, and you're just gonna throw it shit. The same way you were walking through the forest in this weird direction, trying to cut through. But after you've been through the forest 100 times, you start to see how the path isn't even in a straight line. You start correcting it all. Okay, that's how you basically learn how to throw the jab. You're like, okay, well, this doesn't feel right. There's like, it's coming off this way. I'm gonna start straightening up the trajectory of it. I'm making it efficient, relaxing my arm. You start making the path through the forest super efficient. And then you build a path, and then you build a road, and then you get a car, and then you can just go through it really fast. Okay, that's basically what it's like learning the skill. But the actual amount of repetitions this takes is crazy. You're gonna have to do these repetitions for hours a day for probably years before they're anywhere even that good for people to even notice. Like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. If someone to notice you and say, he's pretty good, it takes like, I want to say minimum 3, 4, 5 years of just consistent practicing of repetitions of all the punches and the footwork and the sparring, and you know, it takes a lot for you to actually get into that position. So if you've just started, then just know that this is going to be an extremely long path, right? And you've got to get, the more repetitions you can start getting in now and building a habit of doing those repetitions as often as possible, the more you're going to get. You're going to catch up, or you're going to surpass others. So what are you actually going to take away and do after watching this video? What are you going to go and do now that's going to help you get better as quickly as possible with this new information that you've got to do with these repetitions? I want you to get on a bag and just practice each punch religiously for like 10 rounds. Okay, so you want to do like 10 rounds of just the jab, making it as efficient as possible, because no punches should really take that much effort and fatigue out of you. You should be able to do them relaxed enough so they're nice and easy. You could do 5 rounds shadow boxing and 5 rounds on the bag, mixing it up in between. So do 1 round shadow, 1 round bag, 1 round shadow, 1 round bag. And you just practice that same repetition over and over and over and over and over and over again, thousands and thousands of times. You do 10 rounds on just the jab, and the next day you could do 10 rounds on just the cross, or you do 10 rounds on just the 1-2, or 10 rounds on just combination flow punching. You want to pick a specific skill, and then you want to go super deep on that skill, and not just the act of doing that singular skill, although that is the main brunt of it. You want to be able to disguise that skill with a feint or something before. So you want to get good repetitions of, instead of just throwing a jab to the body, feinting to the head first and then throwing the jab to the body. All right, so you got to practice the repetitions not only correctly thousands of times, but also in combination with stuff like feints and defense after, which is going to make you throwing it in the ring actually work and you're not getting beaten up. To do those repetitions correctly, you either need a coach there helping you and telling you what you're doing wrong, or if you don't have someone there who's there with you all the time, because I don't know, you go to some big commercial boxing classes or something and you don't really get any time to yourself, then what you need to do is use my YouTube videos, learn what good technique is, and then video yourself and watch it back, right? And then just compare, right? Look where the discrepancies are and change it. And then do another 10 rounds of changing it. Right? And then do another 10 rounds and then another 10 rounds. And you just keep building this up for years. And then before you know it, you're actually all right. You're pretty good. And you go into sparring and you can land your jab all right because you've done the repetitions of that jab. I'll point you in the direction of another video, which I talk about the perfect technique for the 1-2. So go give that one a watch. It should be linked on the screen somewhere. And do that as your first set of repetitions. Go learn all of the techniques from that video and then go and spend 10 rounds of doing the 1-2 on the center line, then off the center line, back onto the center line. And then what was the other one? On the center line, off the center line, off the center line, off the center line. Practice 10 rounds of each of those. Okay, or 1 round of each and just keep cycling through them. You need to get the repetitions in regardless. No repetition is just making you worse, and you'll find your way through the forest if you just do enough of the repetitions, okay, and video yourself and you watch it back. The better you can get feedback from what you're doing, the more you'll improve. All right, so go give that video a watch and go implement what you actually learned. Don't just sit here and do nothing about it. Go and implement it.